Captain James Miller stood on the bridge of the Defiance, his eyes fixed on the vast emptiness of space that stretched beyond the viewscreen. The ship hummed with quiet energy as it patrolled the outer edge of human territory. It was humanity's newest vessel, filled with technology so new that even most of the crew didn't fully understand it. "Status report," Miller called out, his voice steady and calm. "All systems normal, Captain," replied Officer Davis from his station. "We're on course for the edge of the Kuiper Belt." The Defiance was special. Built in secret over 5 years, it carried weapons and shields far beyond what other ships had. Earth had poured its best minds and resources into this ship, hoping it would never be needed. But deep down, everyone knew that humans weren't alone in the universe. It was only a matter of time before they met someone, or something, else. Lisa Reed, the communications officer, suddenly sat up straight in her chair. Her fingers moved quickly across her screen as she adjusted settings. "Captain," she said, her voice tight, "I'm picking up something strange. A signal. I've never seen anything like it." Miller walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It's not human, sir. It's not matching any known pattern in our database." Lisa's face showed both worry and excitement. "And it's coming from beyond the Kuiper Belt. Put it through the translator. Let's see if we can make sense of it." Lisa tried, but the computer couldn't decode it. Whatever was sending the signal used a language completely unknown to humans. "Chief Garcia," Miller called to his engineer. "Can we track where exactly this is coming from?" Thomas Garcia, the ship's chief engineer, nodded and began working with Lisa. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "Got it," he said after a moment. "Sending coordinates to navigation now." Miller looked at his pilot. "Take us there, slow and careful. Weapons on standby." The Defiance changed course, heading toward the source of the mysterious signal. The crew was tense but ready. They had trained for first contact, though many had never truly believed it would happen during their lifetime. 3 hours later, the Defiance slowed near the coordinates. Miller ordered the ship to hold position just outside sensor range of whatever was out there. "Launch a stealth probe," he ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with before we show ourselves." The small probe shot out from the ship, its special coating making it nearly invisible to most detection systems. It traveled for 20 minutes before sending back its first images. When those images appeared on the main screen, the entire bridge crew fell silent. Ships, hundreds of them, a massive fleet of vessels unlike anything humans had ever built, stretching farther than the probe's cameras could see. They moved in perfect formation, like a single organism rather than individual ships. "My God," whispered Lisa. Miller felt a chill run down his spine. "Magnify the lead vessels." The image zoomed in. The alien ships were smooth and curved, with no sharp edges. They glowed with a faint purple light that pulsed in a steady rhythm across their hulls. "They're heading toward our solar system," said the navigation officer, his voice barely above a whisper. Miller straightened his back. "Send an emergency message to Earth Command. Include all probe data. Priority Alpha." Lisa nodded and began transmitting. The rest of the crew waited in tense silence. "Should we try to communicate with them, sir?" Lisa asked. Miller thought for a moment. "Yes. Standard first contact protocol. All languages, all frequencies." For the next hour, Lisa sent message after message toward the alien fleet. Peace offerings, mathematical sequences, simple pictograms, anything that might establish communication. There was no response. Then suddenly, the probe's feed showed movement. Several smaller ships broke from the main fleet, accelerating rapidly. "Sir," called out the tactical officer, "the probe has been detected. Small vessels are heading toward." The feed from the probe went dead. "They destroyed it," Miller said flatly. Before anyone could respond, Lisa's console lit up with an urgent message. "Captain, emergency transmission from the research outpost on Pluto. They're under attack." Miller's face hardened. "Show me." The screen flickered to show chaos. The small human outpost, home to 50 researchers, was being bombarded by the same small ships they had just seen. Buildings collapsed as strange purple beams cut through them like paper. "Help us!" cried a scientist on the screen. "Unknown vessels attacking without warning. We have no defenses. The transmission cut off. "Status of the alien fleet," Miller demanded. "Main force still on approach. Estimated time to Earth at current speed. 6 days, replied navigation. Miller pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." Alarms blared throughout the Defiance as the crew rushed to their positions. Miller opened a channel to Earth Command. "This is Captain James Miller of the Defiance. We have confirmed hostile alien contact. Pluto Research Station has been attacked. Request immediate backup to outer system coordinates." The reply came quickly. "Captain Miller, this is Admiral Jones. All available ships are being mobilized, but nearest support is 3 days out. You are ordered to avoid engagement and observe only." Miller looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was massive, like nothing humanity had ever faced. "With respect, Admiral, if we wait 3 days, they'll be halfway to Earth. The Defiance was built for this. We're the only thing standing between them and home." There was a long pause before the Admiral responded. "You're authorized to delay their advance if possible, but do not sacrifice your ship. You're our eyes out there, Miller. We need to know what we're facing." "Understood, Admiral." Defiance out. Miller turned to his crew. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. "Chief Garcia," he said to his engineer, "you once told me this ship could do things even its designers never imagined. I need those things now." Garcia nodded slowly. "The experimental core. I've been working on some modifications. They weren't approved by command, but..." He took a deep breath. "I can give you more power than this ship was ever meant to handle. Might burn us out, though." "Do it," Miller ordered. Then he addressed the entire bridge. "I know we're outgunned. I know the odds. But that fleet is heading to Earth, to our families, our homes. We're going to show them that humans don't go down without a fight." He looked back at the screen showing the approaching Armada. "Plot and intercept course. We're going to introduce ourselves to our new neighbors." The Defiance moved silently toward the alien fleet. Captain Miller had ordered the ship to use its stealth systems, making them nearly invisible against the blackness of space. His plan was not to attack the entire Armada head-on. That would be suicide. Instead, they would strike fast, gather information, and try to slow the aliens down. "All stations report," Miller said, his voice calm despite the tension on the bridge. "Engines at 85%, running quiet," said the pilot. "Weapons charged and ready," the tactical officer added. Chief Engineer Garcia's voice came through the comm system. "Core modifications in progress, Captain. I need another hour to finish." "We may not have an hour, Chief," Miller replied. "Do what you can." Lisa Reed, still at her communications station, suddenly straightened. "Captain, I'm receiving a broadcast. It's being sent to all frequencies, directed toward Earth." "Let's hear it," Miller said. The speakers crackled. Then a strange metallic voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect English, but with an unnatural rhythm, as if multiple voices were speaking together. "Attention, human civilization. We are the collective. Your species has been deemed a contagion risk to the ordered galaxy. Your unpredictable nature and rapid expansion cannot be permitted. Surrender your world for containment or face elimination. You have 6 Earth days to comply." Silence fell over the bridge. "They want to contain us, like we're some kind of disease," Davis whispered. Miller's face hardened. "Send this message to Earth Command immediately. They need to know what we're facing." Lisa nodded and began transmitting. As she worked, Miller studied the tactical display. The alien fleet moved with perfect precision, each ship maintaining exact distance from the others. "Look at how they move," Miller said quietly. No human fleet could maintain formation that perfectly. Marcus Reed, the science officer and Lisa's brother, had been analyzing the alien vessels. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns between their ships. It's almost like they're connected somehow." "Connected?" Miller asked. "Yes, sir. Energy pulses traveling between vessels in millisecond intervals. It's as if they're sharing information constantly, like parts of a single organism rather than individual ships." Miller considered this, so they don't just work together, they think together. "That would explain the voice on the transmission," Lisa added. "Many voices speaking as one." Miller nodded slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. "Keep analyzing those connections, Marcus. I want to know everything about how they communicate." "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted. "3 smaller alien vessels have broken formation. They're heading toward Neptune's moon Triton, where we have another research base." Miller didn't hesitate. "Intercept course. Full speed." The Defiant's engines roared to life as they abandoned stealth. The ship accelerated rapidly toward the 3 alien scouts. "Weapons locked," the tactical officer reported. "Fire when in range," Miller ordered. The Defiants closed in on the alien scouts from behind. They seemed unaware of the human ship's presence until the first blast from the Defiance's main cannon struck the rear vessel. The alien ship shuddered, then exploded in a burst of purple fire. The other 2 scouts immediately changed course, turning to face their attacker. Strange, curved sections of their hulls opened to reveal weapon ports. "Evasive maneuvers," Miller shouted. The Defiance rolled sharply as purple energy beams sliced through the space where it had been moments before. The human ship returned fire, its experimental weapons striking one of the alien vessels. The hit damaged but didn't destroy it. "Their hulls are tougher than they look," the tactical officer reported. "Give me everything we've got," Miller ordered. The Defiance fired again, concentrating all weapons on one target. This time, the alien ship's hull cracked open, venting atmosphere before exploding. The final scout turned and fled, not back toward the main fleet, but directly at the Defiance. "It's going to ram us," shouted the pilot. "Hard to port," Miller commanded. The Defiance swerved, but not quickly enough. The alien vessel clipped their starboard side, sending the human ship spinning. Warning alarms blared across the bridge as the lights flickered. "Damage report," Miller called out, gripping his chair to stay upright. "Hull breach on deck 3. Emergency shields in place," someone reported. "Weapons systems damage. Starboard thrusters offline." As the Defiant stabilized, Miller saw that the collision had destroyed the alien scout as well, but the brief victory was overshadowed by what appeared on their sensors next. "Captain," Marcus said, his voice tight, "the main fleet has noticed us. 20 ships have broken formation and are heading our way." Miller activated the ship-wide comm. "Chief Garcia, I need those modifications now." "I need 10 more minutes, Captain," Garcia replied, the sound of frantic work in the background. "We don't have 10 minutes, Miller responded. "Make it 5. Miller turned to his tactical officer. "Set a course for the asteroid field near Neptune. We need to buy some time." The Defiance limped toward the asteroid field, its damaged engines struggling to maintain speed. Behind them, the alien vessels approached rapidly, their formation perfect despite the obstacles in their path. "They're gaining on us," the pilot reported. 5 more minutes, Miller said firmly. "We just need 5 minutes." The Defiance reached the asteroid field first, weaving between the massive rocks. The human pilot's skill showed as they navigated the dangerous terrain, using the asteroids as cover. The alien ships followed, but something interesting happened. Their perfect formation became less perfect. Several collided with asteroids, and others had to slow down to avoid crashes. "Look at that," Marcus said, watching the sensor readings. "They're struggling to adapt to the random patterns of the asteroids." Miller nodded. "They like order. They expect things to be predictable." A smile spread across his face, and humans are anything but predictable. Before he could say more, a purple beam struck the Defiance directly. The ship rocked violently as systems shorted out across the bridge. "Direct hit," the tactical officer shouted. "Shields down to 30%. Another hit struck them, and then another. The Defiance was taking heavy damage. "We can't take much more of this," the pilot warned. Just then, Garcia's voice came through the comm. "Modifications complete, Captain. The core is ready, but I have to warn you, this could tear us apart too." Miller looked at his crew. They were injured, afraid, but still fighting. He thought of Earth, of all the people counting on them. "Better to go out fighting," he said quietly. Then louder, "Prepare to activate the modified core on my mark. All hands brace for impact." As the alien ships closed in for the kill, surrounding the damaged Defiance, Miller gave the order that would either save them or destroy them. Now, the modified core of the Defiance hummed with power. Power it was never designed to hold. As Captain Miller gave the order, Chief Engineer Garcia activated the system from engineering. The lights throughout the ship dimmed. For a terrifying second, everything went completely dark. Then, a wave of energy burst outward from the Defiance in all directions. It wasn't visible to the human eye, but on the ship's sensors, it appeared as a rapidly expanding circle. The wave passed through the surrounding alien vessels like they weren't even there. At first, nothing happened. The alien ships continued their approach, weapons charging. "Did it work?" Miller asked, gripping the arms of his chair. Before anyone could answer, the nearest alien ship suddenly veered off course, nearly colliding with another. All around them, the perfect formation of the alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships drifted randomly, some spinning in place, others firing weapons in wrong directions. Marcus stared at his readings in amazement. "Captain, the energy connections between their ships are breaking down. The wave disrupted their communication network." Miller allowed himself a small smile. They can't talk to each other anymore. A fleet that thinks as one mind suddenly can't think at all. Lisa turned from her station, her eyes wide with realization. "Sir, if they use some kind of shared consciousness to communicate, then we can pretend to be part of it." Miller finished her thought. "Can you broadcast on their frequencies?" "I can try," she said, turning back to her console. "What should I send?" "Confusion," Miller replied. "Send conflicting orders. Tell some ships to retreat, others to advance. Make them fight each other." Lisa worked quickly, using what they had learned from the alien transmissions to mimic their communication patterns. She sent out a series of commands, disguising them to look like they came from different ships in the alien fleet. The results were immediate and dramatic. The alien vessels, already disorganized from the energy wave, began to act even more chaotically. Several opened fire on their own kind. Others turned and fled. A few simply shut down completely, drifting powerless in space. "It's working," Davis shouted. But their victory was short-lived. The Defiance shuddered violently as warning alarms blared across the bridge. "The core is overheating." Garcia's panicked voice came through the comm. The modifications weren't meant to sustain this kind of power output. Another violent shake rocked the ship, stronger than the last. Sparks flew from several consoles as crew members were thrown from their stations. "Shut it down," Miller ordered. "Return to standard power." "I'm trying," Garcia replied, "but it's not responding to controls." Miller looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were still in disarray, but some were beginning to recover, their movements becoming more coordinated again. "We don't have much time before they reorganize," the tactical officer warned. Miller made a quick decision. "Marcus, can we use what we've learned about their communication network to make our disruption more targeted? Instead of a general wave, can we focus it specifically on their command functions?" Marcus thought for a moment. "Maybe, but I'll need access to more processing power than my station has." "Divert power from non-essential systems," Miller ordered. "Life support, keep it at minimum. Same for gravity on lower decks. Give science everything they need." The crew rushed to comply as the ship continued to shake. In engineering, Garcia fought to stabilize the core, which was now glowing bright blue through its containment field, a color it was never supposed to be. "Captain," Lisa called out suddenly, "I'm detecting a change in the alien communication patterns. One ship is broadcasting more strongly than the others. It's trying to reestablish control." Miller studied the tactical display. One ship, larger than the rest, and near the center of the fleet, was pulsing with energy. The ships closest to it were already beginning to move in formation again. "That's their command ship," Miller said. "Marcus, focus your disruption there." "Working on it," Marcus replied, his fingers flying across his console. "But I need more time." Miller looked at the damage reports flooding in. The Defiance was barely holding together. Systems were failing all over the ship. They didn't have more time. Then Lisa spoke up again. "Captain, I've been analyzing their language structure. I think I can send a virus." "A virus?" Miller asked. "Yes, sir. Their communication is like a computer network. If I can package our disruption signal into their own language format, it might spread from ship to ship on its own, especially if we target that command vessel." Miller nodded. "Do it." Lisa and Marcus worked together, combining her understanding of the alien language with his knowledge of their energy patterns. The rest of the crew worked to keep the failing ship together for just a few minutes longer. "Ready, sir," Lisa finally said. "But we'll need to get closer to the command ship for maximum effect." Miller turned to his pilot. "Get us as close as you can." "With respect, sir, we barely have maneuvering thrusters," the pilot replied. "Then use what we have. Plot a collision course." The bridge fell silent. "Sir?" the pilot asked. "Not an actual collision," Miller clarified. "But I want them to think that's what we're doing. Make it look like we're on a suicide run." Understanding dawned on the crew's faces. The pilot nodded and set the course. The damaged Defiance limped toward the alien command ship, which was now fully operational and coordinating the fleet's recovery. As they approached, several alien vessels moved to intercept. "They're targeting us, sir," the tactical officer reported. "Hold course," Miller ordered. "All power to forward shields." Purple energy beams struck the Defiance, but the shields held, barely. The human ship continued its apparent suicide run toward the command vessel. "They're sending out a priority alert," Lisa reported, monitoring the alien communications. "All ships are being ordered to stop us at all costs." "Good," Miller said grimly. "They're scared." The Defiance was now close enough to the command ship that its massive form filled their view screen. It was easily 10 times the size of their vessel, covered in pulsing purple energy patterns. "Now, Lisa," Miller ordered. Lisa activated the virus transmission. The Defiance's communication array fired the specially coded signal directly at the alien command ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the purple energy patterns on the alien vessel flickered. They changed from purple to blue, then back to purple, then to a chaotic mix of colors. The same effect began to spread to nearby ships, like a ripple in water. "It's working," Marcus exclaimed. "The virus is spreading through their network." All around them, alien ships began to drift aimlessly or power down completely. Their perfect coordination was completely shattered. Miller allowed himself a moment of relief before turning to his pilot. "Get us out of here before they recover. Best speed." As the Defiance limped away from the now disorganized alien armada, Miller opened a channel to Earth. "Earth Command, this is the Defiance. We've found a weakness in the alien fleet. Sending all data now. They operate on a shared consciousness network that can be disrupted." For the first time since the alien fleet had appeared, Miller felt something he hadn't expected to feel again. The Defiance limped away from the disorganized alien fleet, its systems barely functioning. In the ship's medical bay, injured crew members were being treated. On the bridge, Captain Miller studied the damage reports with a grim face. "How bad is it, Chief?" he asked Garcia over the comm. "Bad, sir," the engineer replied. Main engines are at 20%. Weapon systems are mostly offline. The core is stable now, but we can't risk another modified burst without a complete rebuild. Miller nodded, though Garcia couldn't see him. What about life support? Holding for now. We've sealed off the breached areas on Deck 3. Miller looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was still in disarray, but some ships were beginning to recover from the virus. The command ship, though damaged, was still operational. Earth Command reports reinforcements are still 48 hours away. Lisa informed him. They're sending everything they have, but it won't be here in time if the aliens regroup. Miller studied the alien command ship on the display. Then we need to make sure they don't regroup. He turned to Marcus. What have you learned about their command structure? Marcus had been analyzing the data from their attack. The command ship contains what I believe is a central node, a biological technological hub that coordinates the entire hive mind. Our virus disrupted it temporarily, but it's already starting to adapt and rebuild connections. If we destroy that central node, Miller began, the entire fleet would be permanently disabled. Marcus finished. Miller considered their options. The Defiance was in no condition for another direct attack. But they couldn't just wait for Earth's reinforcements while the aliens recovered. Lisa, are you still able to monitor their communications? He asked. She nodded. Yes, sir. They're scattered and confused, but the command ship is broadcasting recovery protocols. Good. Keep listening. Miller turned to the tactical officer. What weapons do we still have? One missile launcher is operational. We have 3 high-yield warheads left. Point defense systems are at 50%. Miller thought for a moment. Not enough for a direct assault. He looked around at his weary crew. We need another approach. Security Officer Anna Patel, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. Sir, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might work. I'm listening, Miller said. We can't attack their command ship directly in our condition, Patel explained. But what if we could get inside it? The bridge fell silent. Inside? Miller asked. Yes, sir. My security team could use one of our shuttles. We disguise it with debris from destroyed alien ships. We've scanned enough of them to mimic their signature. We approach the command ship, find a way in, and plant our remaining warheads at critical points. Miller considered the plan. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but they were out of better options. How would you get past their defenses? He asked. The virus has confused them. Ships are drifting everywhere. In the chaos, they might not notice one more piece of debris. Miller nodded slowly. It could work. He turned to Marcus. Where would they need to place the warheads to destroy the central node? Marcus pulled up a scan of the alien command ship. Based on energy readings, the central node should be here, he said, pointing to the core of the massive vessel. But they'd need to place charges at these junction points to ensure its destruction. He marked several locations throughout the ship. Miller looked at Patel. How many people would you need? 4, sir. Small team. Better chance of staying undetected. Miller thought about it. Sending his people on what might be a one-way mission was the hardest decision he had faced yet. But if they did nothing, Earth would fall. Prepare your team, Officer Patel. Take our best technical specialist too. You'll need help navigating their systems. Thank you, sir, Patel said, already moving toward the door. Anna. Miller called after her. Patel turned. This isn't a suicide mission. I expect you all back in one piece. She nodded, but they both knew the odds. The next hour was a flurry of activity. The shuttle was prepared, covered with salvaged pieces of alien hull to disguise its shape and energy signature. Patel's team of 4 suited up with every weapon and tool they could carry. Before they departed, Miller spoke to them one last time. Your mission is clear. Get in, plant the warheads, get out. You'll have 3 hours before we lose our window of opportunity. After that, the aliens will likely have regrouped enough to detect you. Patel and her team nodded grimly. The Defiance will create a distraction when you're ready to extract. We still have enough fight in us for that. Miller looked each of them in the eye. Earth is counting on you. We all are. With final salutes, the team boarded the disguised shuttle and launched. The small vessel moved slowly away from the Defiance, looking like nothing more than another piece of battle debris. On the bridge, Miller watched their progress on the tactical display. "Now we wait," he said quietly. The shuttle drifted through the scattered alien fleet, passing disabled and confused vessels. Several times, active alien ships passed nearby, but they didn't seem to notice the disguised human craft. Finally, after a tense hour, the shuttle reached the massive command ship. "They're approaching the outer hull," Lisa reported, monitoring their communications. Inside the shuttle, Patel and her team prepared for entry. They had studied the alien ships and identified what looked like maintenance hatches along the hull. There, Patel pointed to a dark section of the hull where a small port was visible. "That's our way in." The shuttle pilot carefully maneuvered them alongside. The technical specialist, Officer Brown, used a modified tool to interface with the alien technology. After several tense minutes, the hatch slid open. "We're in," Patel reported back to the Defiance. Beginning infiltration. The team moved through the alien ship's strange corridors. Unlike human vessels, everything was curved and organic-looking, with pulsing lights running through the walls like blood vessels. "It's like the ship is alive," whispered Brown as they moved deeper. They encountered few aliens. Those they did see moved erratically, as if confused or sick. The virus had clearly affected not just their ships, but the aliens themselves. Using Marcus's map, they navigated toward the first junction point. When they reached it, Brown planted one of the warheads and set the remote detonator. "One down, 2 to go," Patel reported. As they moved toward the second location, they entered a vast chamber that stopped them in their tracks. The walls were lined with what looked like thousands of transparent pods. Inside each pod was a different creature, some humanoid, others completely alien. "What is this place?" one of the team members whispered. Brown scanned the pods with his device. "They're alive, but in some kind of stasis, and they're all connected to the ship's systems." Patil moved closer to one pod containing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin. "Prisoners. Or components," Brown suggested grimly. "Remember how the aliens operate as a hive mind? What if they take other species and add them to their collective?" The realization hit them all at once. The collective wasn't just an alien fleet. It was a composite entity made up of conquered species, all forced into a shared consciousness. "We need to hurry," Patel said, her determination renewed. "This isn't just about Earth anymore." As they turned to leave, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the chamber. The pods began to glow more brightly, and the creatures inside started to move. "They know we're here," Patel said. "Run." Alarms blared throughout the alien command ship as Patel and her team ran through the curved corridors. Behind them, they could hear strange movement, the sound of many feet rushing in pursuit. "Team, report status." Miller's voice came through their comms, barely audible through the interference. "We've been discovered, Captain," Patel replied as they ran. "First charge is planted, but we still need to set the other two. Can you complete the mission?" Patel looked at her team. Despite their fear, their faces showed determination. "Yes, sir. We'll get it done." "The ship's activity is increasing," Lisa's voice added. "Energy signatures rising all over the fleet. They're waking up faster now." Patel checked the map on her device. "We'll split up. Brown, you and Taylor take the second junction. Roberts and I will handle the third. We'll meet back at the shuttle in 30 minutes. The team nodded and separated at the next intersection. Patel and Roberts headed deeper into the ship, toward what Marcus had identified as the central processing core. Behind them, strange creatures appeared. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien, but all moved with the same jerky, synchronized motions. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural purple light. "They're controlled," Roberts said as they ducked into a side passage, like puppets. Patel nodded grimly. All the more reason to finish this. On the Defiance, Miller watched the alien fleet with growing concern. More ships were powering up, their formations becoming coordinated again. "How much longer until our team can extract?" he asked. "They need at least 20 more minutes to plant the remaining charges and return to the shuttle," Marcus replied. Miller turned to his tactical officer. "Prepare to create a distraction. Target any active alien ships near the command vessel." "Sir, we barely have weapons left," the officer reminded him. "Then use everything we've got," Miller said firmly. "Make it count." Inside the command ship, Brown and Taylor reached the second junction point. As Brown worked to attach the explosive, Taylor kept watch. "Hurry," Taylor whispered. "They're coming." Brown finished setting the charge. "Done. Let's move." They turned to leave, but found their exit blocked by 3 alien beings. Each one different in appearance, but all with the same glowing purple eyes. Taylor raised his weapon, but Brown stopped him. "Wait. Look at them. They're fighting it." Indeed, the aliens were moving strangely, as if struggling against invisible restraints. One of them, a tall being with 4 arms, managed to speak through what seemed like immense effort. "Help. Us," it gasped, before its eyes flared brighter and it lunged forward. Taylor had no choice. He fired, dropping all 3 beings. "We can't help them like this," he said sadly. "Let's find another way." Meanwhile, Patel and Roberts had reached the central core, a massive chamber filled with glowing technology, unlike anything humans had ever created. At its center was a pulsating object that seemed both mechanical and biological. "That's it," Patel said. "The central node." The node was protected by a field of energy and surrounded by dozens of aliens of various species, all connected to it by glowing tendrils of light. "How do we get close enough?" Roberts asked. Patel studied the room. "There." She pointed to a maintenance conduit that ran beneath the floor. "That should take us right underneath it." They pried open an access panel and crawled inside. The tight space was filled with pulsing organic cables that felt warm to the touch. "This ship isn't just a vessel," Roberts whispered. "It's alive somehow." They crawled until they were directly beneath the central node. Patil attached the final explosive to what looked like a main support structure. "Charges set," she reported to the Defiance. "All teams heading to extraction point now." "Copy that," Miller replied. "Be advised, we're about to create your distraction. Get to the shuttle quickly." The Defiance moved out from its hiding position, engines flaring as it charged toward a group of recovering alien ships. Its remaining weapons fired, striking several vessels before they could raise their shields. The sudden attack drew immediate attention. Alien ships turned away from the command vessel to engage this new threat. "It's working," Lisa reported. "The command ship is diverting resources to coordinate the defense." Miller nodded. "Keep firing. Make them think we're making a last, desperate attack." On the command ship, Patel's team had reunited and was fighting their way back to the shuttle. The aliens were everywhere now, converging on the intruders from all directions. "We're cut off from the shuttle bay," Patel reported as they took cover in a small chamber. "Too many of them between us and extraction point." Miller's voice came through with static. "Find another way out. You have 15 minutes before those ships regroup." Brown studied his scanner. "There's an emergency airlock 2 levels up. We could use our suits to spacewalk to the shuttle." "Then that's our plan," Patel decided. "Move out." Fighting their way upward, the team suffered injuries. Roberts took a hit to his leg, and Taylor's suit was damaged. By the time they reached the airlock, they were exhausted and running low on ammunition. "We're at the airlock," Patel reported. "But Roberts is injured badly. He can't make the spacewalk." There was a moment of silence on the comm before Roberts spoke up. "Leave me. I'll trigger the charges when you're clear." "No way," Patel said firmly. "No one gets left behind." "Anna," Roberts said, using her first name. "You know I'm right." Someone needs to make sure those charges go off, and I can't make it to the shuttle. This way, I can make sure everyone else gets out." Patil looked at her wounded teammate, seeing the determination in his eyes. With a heavy heart, she knew he was right. "Captain Miller," she said, "Roberts is staying behind to ensure detonation. Request immediate extraction for the rest of the team." "Understood," Miller replied, his voice solemn. "Shuttle pilot is standing by at the coordinates." Patil gripped Roberts' shoulder. "Make it count." "For Earth," he nodded, "and for all of them." He gestured to the ship around them, referring to the countless beings enslaved by the collective. The remaining team members put on their helmets and entered the airlock. When it opened to space, they pushed off, using their suit thrusters to navigate toward where their shuttle waited. Behind them, Roberts dragged himself to a console and began bypassing security systems to access the detonator controls. The Defiance continued its desperate distraction, taking heavy fire as it drew enemy ships away from the command vessel. Several sections of the human ship were now completely destroyed, and they were running on emergency power. "Team is approaching the shuttle," Lisa reported. "They're almost there." Miller watched the tactical display, relief washing over him as the 3 dots representing Patil's team reached the shuttle. "Get us out of here as soon as they're aboard," he ordered. Inside the command ship, Roberts finished his work. On his display, he could see the shuttle moving away. They were clear. "This is Roberts," he transmitted. "Detonating charges now." His finger hovered over the control. "Hey, Captain, when they ask what happened here, tell them we brought hope." With that, he pressed the button. The explosions rippled through the command ship, reaching the central node. As it shattered, a psychic scream echoed across space, not heard with ears, but felt in the minds of everyone nearby. Throughout the alien fleet, ships stopped moving. Some began drifting aimlessly, others powered down completely. The shuttle raced back to the Defiance, which was already turning to escape the battlefield. "What's happening?" Miller asked, watching the alien fleet on his display. "The central node is destroyed," Marcus reported. "The hive mind connection is broken. Every ship in the fleet has lost its controlling intelligence." As the Defiance limped away with the shuttle safely aboard, something unexpected happened. Communication systems across the bridge suddenly came to life with dozens of different transmissions, all from the alien ships, but each in a different language. Lisa worked frantically at her console. "Sir, these are distress calls." "From the alien ships." "Distress calls?" Miller asked, confused. "Yes, sir, but they're not from the collective. They're from the crews, the beings who were being controlled. They're free now, and they're asking for help." Understanding dawned on Miller's face. They weren't the enemy. They were prisoners in their own bodies. 3 days later, Earth's reinforcements arrived to find not an enemy fleet, but a humanitarian crisis. Thousands of beings from dozens of different species, all freed from the collective's control, needed help. Some ships were stranded without power. Others had crews who didn't know how to operate the vessels they were trapped on. The Defiance, despite its heavy damage, had remained to coordinate rescue efforts. Captain Miller stood on his bridge, watching as human ships moved among the former enemy vessels, providing aid and evacuation. Lisa approached him with a report. "Sir, we've established communication with 27 different species so far. Some have been under collective control for centuries." "What are they saying?" Miller asked. "They're calling what happened here the liberation. And they've given a name to their freedom." She smiled. "They're calling it hope." Miller nodded, thinking of Roberts and all the others who had sacrificed to make this possible. "Hope," he repeated quietly. "A good name." As he looked out at the vast fleet of ships, no longer enemies but new allies, Miller knew that humanity had just taken its first real step into the wider galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as liberators who had brought hope to the stars.